Cool, cool.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Zen Lounge. Today, I have a legendary guest with me. I have the father of the Cosmwasm, also a true Cosmos OG. We're going to learn about all this in this episode. We're also going to talk about his new project that he's the visionary behind. It's called WYND Dao, and there's some new protocols that have been unleashed. We're going to learn all about that. But first, let me welcome Ethan Frey to the show, and let me give him a little bit of let him introduce himself and share his background. So, Ethan, welcome to the podcast.
Well, cool. Thanks for having me here, inviting me here. My name's Ethan Fry. I'm long-term in crypto. I guess I started in Cosmos. I heard about Bitcoin back like 2013 and Ethereum back like 2016, but never got into it. And Cosmos, when I found out that, I just gut fell for it. It seems so much like the right way of doing it. The sovereignty, the interchain IBC, Tendermint, like proof of stake. I was like, wow, it's like efficient, fast finality, fast blocks, not using environmental damage like a Bitcoin can be. Um, and IBC having sovereignty, so two people can have different chains, they communicate and work together rather than fighting each other. And this is like the idea of having, not gonna have one chain, you have lots of blockchains and they have to work together. So I love the idea. I love the idea that anyone can launch their own chain, and new ideas like, mesh security and replicate security allow that to happen. So I joined early 2017 to work on the core team, working on building the IVL tree, Cosmos SDK, early IBC specifications, and then left that to make my own, to work in a company building another SDK. And then since 2019, late 2019, I've been building Cosmwasm. Started a hackathon, and I thought, so cool, I'm just gonna drop everything and focus only on building this smart contracting platform. So since then, I've built a team. We have over 20 people, so in Confio, working on building that, the tooling, Cosmwasm, libraries, documentation, tooling around it, also Cosmjs, which is the front-end JavaScript library that almost every DApp in the Cosmos uses right now.
Well, man, I'm excited to get more into the Cosmwasm. A lot of people in my show have been following me as I'm been researching your work into Cosmwasm, and also, like, how does it feel to like look back on 2016, seeing the mass adoption that's happening here in 2023 with IBC and like all the work that you've put in, actually seeing, lots of adoption happening. There's like over 50 something chains using IBC and so many people using Cosmwasm. So it must feel pretty good to be a part of all this.
Definitely, definitely. It was really cool. 2021 for me was when it came out live, and then you saw even 20 chains the first few months. So IBC token transfer started going there, and that's Moses showed up and said, "Hey, we'll make it meaningful. Like we sit here and just like make it work as interchain hub." And like they did it. They did interchain decks that had IBC transfer tokens from everywhere, and that was like I think amazing. So big props to that Moses team and the Kepler team for really making this interchain vision reality. Everyone connected, and no one could do anything until they just launched this and took it over. And now it's like this is obvious now, so obvious now. But they manifested it, so big props to them. And for me, then I'm pitching Cosmwasm, and end of 2021. Hey, you guys should use Cosmwasm. We have like Terra Secret, and then 2022, I saw so many chains having it. They see like the majority of the IBC chains now have Cosmwasm, which is cool. A lot of them have a permission to mode, which means you kind of have to like talk to their dev team before you get on there. But it still allows you to write those contracts if you want to do that BD. Still works, and then still like 8 or so of the permission list, meaning anyone can throw any contract on there you want to. So yeah, I think it's really cool seeing that adoption. And what I'm looking for this year is really see the combinations. Now we have IBC, we have Cosmwasm on a lot of chains, and now we can have really Cosmwasm smart contracts talking to each other. So the next level of IBC, IBC's token transfers, there can be so much more, so much more. We can go into that later on in the show. And really the way to get that is deploying two Cosmwasm contracts that talk using IBC to each other. And I think it's the future. And I'm looking forward to working with people in this year to make that really the reality.
So let's definitely, I want to go into, I have a bunch of questions for you about the Cosmwasm and just like Cosmos history in itself. A lot of people are going to be tuning in today because they want to learn about the new protocol on WYND DAO. So I really want to talk to you about your vision for WYND DAO, like what you see happening with this protocol. I heard it's like you want it to be the one-stop shop for all DeFi in Cosmos, because we'll talk about this. But you want me to share my screen, or you want to share
I
your
can share.
screen?
I'll share my screen. I'll walk you through this stuff. Give me a second.
Yeah, so WYND DAO, I received the airdrop. So that's something that's unique about this project, was there was no like initial token sale for this. You airdropped a community airdrop, and then the community has governance over. So I feel like I'm part of this, and I'm actually a member myself. And I've been participating in this since day one, and it's so smooth. It's so like so once you go from like Ethereum DeFi and you pay all those fees, and you come over to this and there's no fees, it's like it's hard to go back, right? And how smooth everything is. So I really want you to come on and share, because there's a bunch of people that are watching my show right now that are onboarding Cosmos. They're downloading Leap Wallet as we speak, setting up wallets, and they're going to want to know where the DeFi hub is, like where they could participate in AMMs, and you're going to talk about liquid staking. So we have LSD that just launched. So what are the benefits? Like what are the what's special about LSD, liquid staking derivatives? What is it?
Yeah, well, first let me show you how to get on so you can
Oh yeah.
start everyone get onboarded, and then you may follow me along as you're listening to this. So go to app window.com. As he was talking, you saw a little pop-up. I understand that, take the rights for it. Disclaimer, connect wallet. You connect either to Leap Wallet or Kepler. I have Kepler installed, and I type my password. Should work. Or not. Sometimes the first time you have to try it twice. There, approve. See, sometimes the first time you connect, you have to approve it, and it takes a little longer. Now I'm connected to my wallet here.
Nice.
You have your assets page. The main thing you see is your assets page when you come to dashboard. So I pre-seeded this with 500 WYND and 100 Juno from another account. So we got a little money here. Not a bad amount, but yeah, you can play with. And we can see what's going on here. First of all, you see this is overview. We see all the assets I have, my rewards, if I'm staking rewards anywhere, and voting proposals. So governance is here as well. It's a very, very core part. So when we rolled this out, the first thing we did was did governance. Then we did a DEX. Now we're doing liquid staking derivatives. And as we add each of these, we are integrating with our governance platform. So I think I'd like to dig at that later on too. But so yeah, here we are here. And if you want to look at LSD, the main thing, first step is you click on the LSD, little pills over here, and you see it. So right now it's only Juno. The plan here is to allow LSD, like staking derivatives of multiple chains on here. And we are not doing like the Stride where they're using it remotely from their one chain to control it all. The idea here is basically to have the same contracts deployed to multiple Cosmwasm chains. They run locally. You can interact with them locally, the whole staking system. And but then you have a little connection, like the governance connection back to the main chain. So we're kind of like the mothership saying directions to them, but all the actual work can be done in process. So if you want to go around, you can click on this. I'll explain a little about why the LSD. So we can click on the Juno, you see how it works. I'll explain a little bit how this works. What a staking derivative is basically you give your Juno to this contract and it stakes on your behalf. Every day it's going to take all the rewards and it'll rebond them. And take the rewards and rebond them, so it auto compounds for you, which is why we get this APR. It takes a little cut off it. So beyond that, it helps you basically, there's a little commission taken. We have auto compounding increases it. And we ended up with about a little higher APR than you would have otherwise. The main thing here is you're getting liquidity right away. If you have a Juno and you stake it, you can't do anything with it. It's 4 weeks if you hit unbond, 4 weeks with no rewards to be able to get out there. And while it's staked, you get your interest on it, your rewards on it, but you'll get to do anything else with it. So a liquid staking derivative is liquid. So it means it will give you a WYND Juno, a WY Juno here, which is a voucher for 1 Juno, or actually slightly increasing, auto compounds. So start at 1, now it's 1.004. This will go up probably every few days, 1.01, 1.02, 1.03 over the days. So probably about, I think every 2 weeks it'll go up to 1.01, 1% every week or two, every couple weeks. And it'll slowly increase the value behind one of them, auto compounding. In the meantime, you can do something with it. The first thing you can do with it right now is you can sell it. It's pretty simple. You can sell it on a market and get out much faster than unbonding. We can go to that later, but I'll go into the stable swap pool. But first thing is, if I want to do it, I can hit unbond it and it will take 4 weeks to get my full out, or I can sell the market and maybe someone's offering me, 0.99 for it. It's cheaper, right? They'll make a deal for it, whatever, slightly less than it is. And so I'll take that 1% cut to get my money out now instead of waiting 4 weeks. right? That's what the market's doing. So you have the chance to do that. We are going to aim to make this very, very liquid. And the point here, to make a liquid staking derivative, you need to have a very, very liquid market. I'll get into that a little more later when you get onto the market. The pool we just launched, we launched a pool like 3 hours ago. So it's, we'll see not much liquidity in it yet, but still pre-optimized. We offer that, which basically says, if you have a huge slippage, if I'm sitting on 1,000 staked Juno and I want to sell it, and I end up selling at 10% discount to the actual price, the value of it, is not very liquid, is it? And because of the slippage, because of whatever, if I can sell those 10% and I'm taking a 1% cut or 2% cut to get my stuff out 2 weeks or 4 weeks early, that could be worth it, right? Like the actual utility, the what's it called? The value, the potential value of that token, the illiquidity premium of it is a few percent because you can stake it, right? So having that liquid right away is worth it. A few percent, probably 1 or 2%, 3% for you, depending on your plans. So getting that out fast is worth a little bit. So if you can sell it and you can sell a large quantity of them for only a small discount on the price, that's pretty liquid and pretty useful. The other thing is we can compose in other DeFi products. Those aren't released yet, but we're looking in the future to those other ones where we can use, for example, WYND collateral. So if you use WYND collateral in a lending protocol, suddenly you're earning 33% interest on your collateral. And if you're taking 10% in your loan, and your loan's only even half the value of collateral, so effectively that's 5% negative, you're still making 28% while you're borrowing money. So it's kind of like a self-repaying loan. You can build the systems with it. So this is another really cool thing you can do with it, using it as collateral. So you can either you can hold it and just know that you can get out much, much faster. It auto compounds automatically for you without you thinking about it, and you get out much faster and easier than having normal Juno staked. Or you can use it as collateral in a future lending protocol, or you can LP it right now and get more rewards. So I'm going to talk about that one today. The first main use case is LPing it.
So if you have 100 Juno staked and then you sell one Y Juno, will you have 99 staked? Basically, you'll basically take it out of your stake.
No, it's a different thing. You can't, your staked Juno or staked Juno, and they're separate. So we have a contract. So you actually have to liquefy them first. So if you have liquid Juno already, you have two options. One is stake it natively, right? And the other is going to WYND Juno. So you start with the native. So we'll start here. So I start here. I have 100 Juno on this account. It's nothing staked, right? So I'm going to stick in, let's say 20 of them. 25. I'll put 25 to buy. And I get out 24.888 WYND Juno because there's a little more than one Juno backing each one, right? We've auto compounded a few times. It's been alive for a week. So we get a little less, but these WYND Juno I get now, let's stake it, approve. It takes a few seconds. It's much faster than Ethereum, but still not immediate. So
6 seconds, right? 6 seconds about.
It's supposed to be 6. Yep, there it is. 6 seconds block time is what we have. Sometimes I miss a block. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'm getting it in 3 seconds. Sometimes 9 seconds, right? Because we hit towards the end and it like waits a few minutes and gets the next block after that, depending on whatever how the network's going. But yeah, usually between 3 and 9 seconds for it to begin there. Every 6 seconds, a new block is made. So I got it. Cool. So I see my staked thing here. If I want, I can do unstake, and that was actually going here is going to unstake it and hit unbond. And this will actually force me to have the I'll show you a little bit. I don't really want to unbond much, but I'll show you. The typical way is I want money back. I can always click this back. I get my Juno back, right? This Juno gets 1.52. It's a little higher. So I can unbond. I approve it. And after a few seconds, it'll show this, my WYND Juno goes down. So this is standard usage. It's not that interesting, but it's basically showing you how you'd stake and unstake. It works just as good as a normal native staking module up to this point, right? So now I have some. It can see pending on bonds. This is available on the 21st of April because, hey, that's what happens, right? So we have this because we have 4 weeks unbonding period in Juno, right? So when it unbonds from Juno, it'll come back to me. This is currently what we have going on. There is this release again a week ago. We have 50,000 Juno staked behind this protocol. So now I've done that. I've shown you how basically I can bond and unbond. Let's do something else with it, right? Let's do something else with it. So we can go with this over to the pools. So I want to actually use it for something, right? So let me go over to the WYND Juno pool. So this is, I think this is a pretty nice interface. It goes pretty fast and snappy. I've been getting a lot of good feedback. So I really want to say big props to our front end developers. It's a lot of time. It looks easy, but if you look at this and look at like Hoppers did, some other things like that, it's a hard task to really make a nice snappy snappy website. So yeah, lots
It
of
looks
tools. You can search by them, route it.
it also
Yeah,
looks really good on mobile too. So you could
yeah. We've
access
seen a
it
lot.
on
We have lots
mobile
of
on
things coming up.
Kepler. You could access it on your mobile on Kepler or Leap Wallet. Super smooth.
Yeah, Kepler Mobile have an issue on Android. That's actually an upstream issue we have, but on iPhone it works great. On Leap it's working good. So it's just the Kepler mobile wallet connection is some issue. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. Yeah, thanks for that compliment. It's yeah, there's been a lot of time on this, really trying to perfect it. Got a lot of feedback from the community. It was really awesome. We launched and got a lot of feedback of saying, hey, you can fix this, fix this, fix this, and spent like the first 2 weeks after Dex launch just improving things from the community. So I think it was really, really good for the community to really help make this so nice.
So we're going to be able to
Um,
earn staking rewards and then also earn liquidity
LP.
pool rewarding at the same time.
Exactly. So that's
Oh
what we're doing
my
now.
gosh.
So you have, I bought my WYND, right? So that WYND itself is earning 33% interest, right? And now I want to add, this is the WYND Juno pool. So you put it in, I'll put in, let's say 20 WYND and 20 Juno, right? And now this half of my pool is earning 33%. So that means, this is not financial advice. I'm just showing what I'm doing. You can choose, you do your own research, but this half of the pool will earn half of that with 33%. So I'm getting 16.5% of Juno interest effectively on this pool, right? And then if there are any rewards on it, because you have WYND rewards, also native WYND rewards to the LP, you get on top of it. So that's an interesting way of doing. So you're getting Juno and you're getting WYND. So you're basically 16.5% bonus on this one. The swap fee is very low. It's a stable swap pool, actually. I'll go into this pool details, but the risk is very, very low. We adjust this, there's no permanent loss. We're changing we're changing the algorithm every day as that number of Juno behind every WYND Juno changes every day. We update the curve so there's no permanent loss. And basically, in the end of the day, WYND Juno may go down. If there's a big run on it, it might go down. But in the end, it's like you can always redeem it for the backing Juno after 4-week latency, right? So you kind of get the discount. You expect some sort of discount based on a 4 weeks lock of your Juno, right? And so if everyone's running, maybe it goes down to a 10-20% discount because everyone's crashing, right? But if it's stable or rising, there shouldn't be much. So if you're willing to hold this, a long-term play, if you're going for a few weeks, 2-4 week bonding periods, on this is no real risk of permanent loss. Over the long term, they'll come back, right? Over the long term, it's not going to deviate too long because you redeem it. So it'll come back to pretty close to the natural thing you bought into, right? So you're not really going to have to suffer permanent loss. You can put in here and you'll get your WYND rewards. So if I add liquidity here, for example, let me stick 20 WYND in here. And a little bit, it's selling for a little less than Juno. Remember, we bonded it, we paid a little more. The price is actually better. So right now, you can buy a little bit on this pool, and it's probably cheaper than actually bonding it directly. There's a little discount because of the price.
Wow.
So you can. We are actually working that. So the router, we're gonna do it next time we bond. When this pool is established, give us a week for the good liquidity to be in this pool. When there's good liquidity in the pool, we'll actually on the LSD bonding interface, we will route. First of all, we'll see if the market price is low. If the market price is low, we'll first buy as much as you can in the market until the price hits what the bonding price is. And then the rest of it you bond, right? So it'll find the best price for you, either buy in the market or bond directly, depending where the price is. So we'll have it automatically hit bond. Don't worry about it. It will do the best thing for you. But we want to make sure you have good liquidity in the pool. This pool is a few hours old, 2,000 right now. So you can add liquidity to this pool. I think it's a 2-step process, but so I'm adding liquidity here. Awesome. And now I'm going to let's say I'm going to put in, so I got some LP positions. Let me put all of them in. Actually, I'll put some of these in there for a 4-week bonding period. There's no APR right now. So there's no APR right now because we just launched it. The APR is decided by gauges every Monday at 10 a.m. European time. So, which is really early morning, Monday morning in the US and Monday evening in Asia. So until Monday comes in, we should have rewards in this. Who knows what they'll be, but there will be some rewards, I'm pretty sure. Some gauges are going to ape into it. If you are a WYND holder, you can ape into it. But this is a way of getting APRs. It will be there on Monday, something, who knows? Up to you guys to figure it out. So yeah, so I'm bonding it now, and you can see my bonding thing. And there, so now I've bonded my tokens here. It's loading. All right, my bond liquidity. I have to reload the page now. Good. So I have the liquidity here, goes up a little bit. my share is $36 of Juno WYND Juno pair. Again, I have some of it bonded now. I have 30 of my, about 3/4 of it bonded for 24 days, 4-week unbonding period. So when this happens, I'll suddenly get my WYND. This will be giving me my WYND rewards here, while this sitting here is getting me my my just natural auto compounding interest on it.
Wow. So that's auto compounding. Your stake is auto compounding, and you're earning WYND rewards.
Yep.
So this probably couldn't be possible on technology like EVM, would it be? Or is this because the Cosmwasm is able to do all this?
I think it's possible to have things like Lido on it. What I found here is the ability to develop these complex things. We added pieces, and it's hard enough building things with like 10 contracts and governance and this stuff. And a lot of things you did, you would need a huge team in the EVM to do it safely. And so a lot of things like we have the gauges, which Curve has too. Curve spent many millions to do it. We self-funded on the order of like 100,000 to get this off the ground, right? So, so you can think that the amount of ability to build complex applications is really limited for me. In EVM, there's a lot of things you can do. It's slower. It's better, much better now than it used to be. It was really expensive and slow. It's better now, but still, I find the complexity and the bugs you see all over the EVM apps are a lot more. And you can say, hey, Terra, Cosmwasm, no one's really using it much. That's why it's so easy. But Terra was big. It was top 10 for some months. It ran on Cosmwasm. It had several billion market cap. They had a bunch of apps they pulled out. Like the first 6 months trying out this stuff, they pulled off a synthetics, they pulled off a AMM, and they pulled off this anchor thing and a staking derivative in like the first 6 months on a team just learning Cosmwasm, and they were never exploited, right?
Yeah.
Their DAO is going on there, and I haven't seen the DAO hack happen. The only DAO hacks that have happened are because someone doesn't stake any tokens, and someone just like, hey, you have $100 staked in this DAO, I'll put $200 in and I'll take it over, right? Like that's stupid usage. There's no like reentrancy attacks is really designed to be pretty secure. So what I find is as you build more and more complex situations here and interchain stuff, it's really showing that you can keep building complexity and not be bogged down. Like, oh my God, am I exposing myself to some weird bug that if I call this, it calls this, it calls this, it calls this, it reentrants me, attacks me, exploits me, flash loan attacks. And so we just designing a way that's a lot more robust against that. So it allows the development speed of complex applications to be much faster.
So quick question. Thank you for mentioning that, because that's kind of what my research was showing, was that Cosmwasm, it was just easier and faster and more efficient to like deploy. Like you guys are deploying things so fast on WYND Dao, it's unbelievable. But quick question. So when we get that, basically the liquid derivative of the WY Juno token, what happens if we swap that for Juno? What happens to our stake? Does our stake stay the same or?
So basically we have these two, right? So what I've bonded here in LP is locked, right? It's locked in LP, it's just an LP. Now I'm going to go and let me try this. It's actually a very good question. Let's try the swap now. Let me go to the swap pool and even demo it. So I have some Juno. I'm going to buy WYND Juno, right? So that's not right. These numbers are probably off, but anyway, we'll find out when you try it. 1 Juno is 6 WYND Juno. Let me try that. Anyway, I'll put 10 Juno in. This is not working.
Maybe refresh your page. Sometimes it does that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try this one. It's WYND, that's why.
Yeah, WYND, yeah.
It should be WYND prices, not WYND Juno prices.
Then refresh it because it's still picking up. Oh.
Yeah, it's picking up WYND prices. Those are WYND prices.
Maybe because it's so brand new.
Maybe it's not routing, yeah. It's also a different pool type, so I'm not sure we have the proper thing for this pool type. But let's try it and find out what happens. We see how much money you get from it, right? So I'll swap, let's say, look at this pool. So I also want to show the pool first of all, right? So I'm going to compare two things. We have this pool, the TVL here is 2.8 thousand, which is 2,800. It's nothing, really, honestly, it's nothing, right? And we have this is also is it Juno? I see Juno one. I just want to compare another one. There's another staking derivative on here. So I'm just trying to show you that there's really custom tool there. So we have Juno SE Juno, which is 8,700. All right, so it's 4 times bigger. But we designed this pool with super low slippage. It's a modified stable swap that tracks the expected target rate. The target rate is based on basically, hey, if there's 1.2 Juno behind every WYND Juno, it's 1.2 is the target rate. And it provides a really, really flat curve. If you know stable swap, it's like the price goes here, then it flattens out for a while, right around the expected, which is 1 to 1 normally, and then goes down. But we basically say target that flatten area, where it's a pretty low slippage, very, very low slippage for a large area, right around more or less the expected price of WYND Juno, which is how much Juno is backing it. So it goes from 1 to 1.1, 1.2 over time. So we can actually, with that modification, we call it a stake swap pool, and we can use a stake swap pool to get really, really low slippage. So if we're gonna try this here, this is another one, right? It's a little bigger pool, and the idea is we should have about 10 times less slippage with the same TVL. So we have 4 times less TVL in this pool, 4 times less. And I'll do some little swaps just to demonstrate this. So if I'm going from here to, hopefully I haven't lost you guys, swapping this out. So I take 10 Juno and I buy SA Juno, right? And the slippage at 50 Juno, right? This pool size, the pool size is much bigger. 50 Juno, I'm getting 1% slippage down here, right? And now let's figure out what I get there. So then if I go from Juno to WYND Juno, it's not showing me. We'll find out what happens when I try that one. Do I have 50 even? I think 40, yeah. Let's try this one. It's not working. This pool's not working then. I guess there's a bug right now. So we deployed this a little time ago. It's a new pool. Hopefully this is working. Let's see if it works. It's a bad one to get. I should have tested this before I did it. Let's take 30. We don't have them all. Yeah. Well, let's all pass it on the front end. We should have it soon. The point is we did the math on it, and we have 10 to 20 times less slippage with the same TVL as these other XYK pools. So the idea is this one will be there, and we are aiming to have a large amount of liquidity. There will be a proposal going live soon on Commonwealth, asking Juno to put tokens in here because it's a relatively low risk. If you're holding Juno anyway, if you're planning to hold Juno forever, right? If you're holding Juno like the community pool is for like forever, never selling it, there's not any risk in this effectively because there's impermanent loss, there's a temporary loss on these things, but in the end of the day, it's backed by Juno. Some of it's staking, some of it is Juno. So we're asking them to put Juno, yeah.
This should help Juno out amazingly because everybody wants to earn rewards, but people don't want to have the 28 days. Like some people are kind of resistant to that ever since the Luna situation, locking up their tokens. So this will get a lot more people, I think. You think the same? Like a lot more people are going to be probably coming to Juno once they see DeFi like this and opportunities.
I'm hoping they come in and even the Juno people use it more. So right now we're kind of trying to get people already on Juno using more. They're afraid to stake, so they can stake now safer. And the basically it says you look at the TVL that pool. So if you want to see how much you can safely stake, right? You look at TVL that pool, and so when you see that pool size, that tells you more or less. You'll see this slippage. You can try here. Oh, I can sell 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, depending how big the pool gets, right? Juno with small amounts of slippage. Okay, that's cool. Then I can, if there's 100,000 low slippage, I'll put in 5,000 Juno here because I know I can pull it out really quick, right? At some point, right, like if you are a big whale and there's 1 million in the pool, but you put 2 million Juno, you can't actually sell it, right? You can't sell it in staking derivatives. So you have to look at this pool size, how fast you can sell out if you want to get out of it, right? So it allows you to get out relative to the TVL of the pool. So yeah, we can try this later. Anyway, you can stake it now. I want to go over another thing. So yeah, this is really the first thing we have is you can go in that pool, we'll get gauges on it. And what do you think WYND though? So you get WYND rewards from this. So the stake thing is you go to WYND, you can go over here. This is the rest of the whole website. We have a whole set here that we can swap, check the pools out. We bridge, which will actually allow us to sell stuff over to USDC, over to Ethereum. It's using Axelar, so you can swap directly into ETH using Squid Router and stuff like that. So you can go to these other bridges, other assets, non-Cosmos assets, or get on from there. So if you're sitting on Polygon and want to get into Cosmos, you can get a bridge. You can get a bridge and start doing stuff, right? So
I've seen you guys just get Ethereum over, wrapped Ethereum over recently.
Exactly. So you can go from Polygon and call into, I want, how about this? I get USDC on Juno. So my Polygon Matic to USDC on Juno. And you can do that. They'll get you actually USDC here. Sure. You get $13 here. You get it on here. You swap it in here. And then once you get actual USDC, then you can start using that to do anything else you want. Buy WYND, buy Juno, stake as WYND Juno, what you want to do here.
Wow.
So we can go directly from these other chains. This is using Squid Router from an Axelar team, Ethereum, Avalanche, Polygon, Binance, Phantom, Moonbeam, and Cello.
Wow.
So yeah. We also have, if you look at the dashboard, we also have other IBC assets. So Atom, Osmo, and Stars and Mars Protocol all are directly connected from IBC transfer. USDC and Wrapped ETH are coming in over Axelar Bridge. But all of these, you can just hit a button and move them back and forth between the other chains. These two go to Ethereum, they take a little longer, but we're talking a few minutes. And these other ones go in the matter of like 30 seconds usually to get over. Stars, Mars, Atom, and Osmo.
Nice.
So you can get on and off your assets this way. You can trade them. We can look at LSD. We looked at that one already. And now let's say I want to be able to vote, participate in the governance here, these other pieces here. So you can stake it. So first I have some WYND tokens here. Let me stake the WYND tokens. I have 500 WYND tokens. Let me stake 300 of them, just so I have something left. And it's interesting, we have differential staking periods. You can opt in. Now, this is not the Juno we have. This is WYND. And we're inspired by Curve, how that is voting power, right? So the Curve, the longer you stake it for, the more voting power you get. We did that, but we're still doing unbonding. So it's not, you're not committing to a 30 days. You're committing to, I lock it for 30, as long as I want to, and have a 30-day unbonding period. So you can go for 30 days, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years. As you go up, you get more and more voting power, and you then get also more rewards, right? So if you're trying to ape in for APRs, really 6 months is pretty much the optimum amount for APRs because it goes linear. After that, the APR doesn't grow that much. It grows a little bit, but it really gets your voting power keeps going up. So if you want to get voting power, like if you want to control gauge weights, control especially gauge weights, you might want to opt into here. If you're just trying to get APR, you might just want to go in these other ones, right?
Right.
Stake your stuff at a little more recent one. But I'm going to stake on, I'll show you something else called rebonding. So this is all new things. So I'll put on to 180 days. I'll stake in there and I'll approve it. Takes a few seconds. So I'm staking this for half a year. Yeah.
Once you stake, that allows you to basically become a member and start voting on all this stuff, participating.
Exactly. So I'm going through the participation here. Great. So I did that one. And now let's say I go, so I have this one. So I have now locked tokens, unstaked tokens, and I have my other ones. Now manage stakes, this is not, should reload. So I have to reload it there. But now 300, we're WYND here for 180 days. I realized, oh, I don't want 180 days, I want less. Now if I unbond it, I'll have 180 days with nothing on it. Those tokens are locked up and I get no rewards off it, right? And that's really harsh. We don't want to make people that harsh. So we said, hey, we have a thing called rebond down, right? So increase it up a bump and you can drop it down. I think the down one's pretty cool. And when you do this, it's called rebonding down. You don't want unbond, we'll just dump them all and like you're stuck in the whole unbonding period. I really do not recommend doing this. I recommend decreasing it. So you can stepwise say, hey, I go from 180 to 90 days. And for 90 days it's locked. I'm getting the APR and the voting power from 90 days. But I'm immediately, right? So it goes down and 9 days later it's liquid again. So they can unbond again to 30 day. Takes 60 days to get down. It's locked up for 30 days, but I'm getting the 30-day APR and voting power. Then when it's at 30 days, they can unbond completely. But I can take a step down each time. I go to the next level immediately, and it's locked until it has a time is past next level. So basically, it unbonds down to the next level. But I'm getting the next level lower staking rewards in the meantime. So I'm just going to decrease it down to 90 days. Show you how that works. I'll decrease all of it. Let's say it tells me it sees. It tries the liquid, right? So I'm going down. It tells me it warns me. Read these pages, the warning pages, and I can do it. I think this is the way you get out of it. So you can, for long durations, you stepwise come out of the unbonding. This has confused people before, but we do try to explain it. So just don't just click. Just read that little dialogues and not too much text. So now it's down at should be a little less now at 90 days now. Yep, 90 days. That's all at 90 days right away. We can go now to vote. Now in gauges, I want to go to gauges. Gauges are pretty cool. This is like again curve inspired. You can vote for incentives. So now I have my voting power. I want to go for the incentives here. So I think, hey, dude, you know what? I put all my money in that WYND Juno pool. I want to go incentivize that one. Yeah. So I put 100%. I can split it. So I can put some of my how about this? I'll put 80% of my stuff on that WYND Juno pool. I think that's cool. And how about I don't know. I think that WYND USDC pool is also pretty cool. So I can split my votes on these two. So I pick the two pools on. I want 80% of my voting power to go on this gauge and 20% on this one, right? Actually, WYND USDC is already probably over over incentivized, whatever, right? I mean, a lot of people like that pool, so it's got incentivized pretty heavily. But that's the community is leaning towards these two, right? So we'll see how the WYND Juno one is. Somewhere down here is the WYND Juno just came live, so it'll probably take a while for that one to actually show up here. WYND Juno here is 0.2%, 0.02% of our of the rewards right now. So hopefully it comes up in the next few days. So I see I can place votes on multiple ones, and then that probably won't even move because, hey, I don't have that much power here.
Did I
But
hear
it
you
might move.
correctly that said that you guys are basically going to be getting Juno tokens as well for the WYND Juno pool?
I don't know we're doing that. What I'm saying, the WYND Juno, half of it is auto compounding, so effectively earns interest, right? It's not, you don't actually get them free, just it goes up in value at 33%, that part. I don't know what incentives we're getting. What we're trying to get is POL right now. We're applying for POL, which means the Juno community pool will invest in it, the LP into it, which means they'll hopefully put a large number of Juno into it. We're asking for 1 million in there, meaning we have a lot of liquidity, which allows you much lower slippage. They will not bond it. They will not be taking your stuff. So if there are incentives on it, they will not be taking the WYND incentives. They're not taking the WYND incentives. They're just providing liquidity here to help
Right.
people get in and out of WYND Juno faster. And then you're welcome to come in there and bond it, and then you get part of whatever rewards you get from this one.
Okay, that's what I heard. Perfect. Yeah, this is a great explanation.
So it looks like wow, WYND Juno is at this TVL, which is increased. It was at 2,800 when I looked at it. So maybe some of your followers here are already bumping it up. So good stuff.
I plan on joining. I plan on joining right after this call.
Cool. Awesome. The other one is engages. Just look at this one. This is WYND Juno itself. So WYND Juno, we are, I think, in about 2 or 3 hours of the first snapshot of the validators to pick the validators here. And you see it's going between Stakefish, Maiden Blocks, and big ones, but a lot of other ones: Cosmos Pug, Cosmos Station, Posthuman, who is actually a big WYND token holder, Dao Dao, Blockpain, Dios Lab, Yabi Cosmology, Friends, Kingnode, Noise, White Whale, Strange Love, Notional, Rhino, Crab Shack, Cosmos Spaces, and Lavender Nodes. The first 20 right now. We can have the first 20 will become split. Your WYND Juno is staked the top 20 of these, right? Percentage wise, based on their percentages. Capped at 10%. This is going to be capped down. So that's there. People can adjust it. We will extend it later as they're extending the gas limit in Juno, so we can allow like all of the ones, anyone that meets at least 0.1% or 0.1% will be allowed to come into set. Maybe even point less than that, 0.05% will be in the set, and we will delegate, split among delegations among all these people, whatever the WYND community selects. So if you are a validator or have a favorite validator, you can stake your WYND, get the WYND, stake it, and you can vote to give it to them. So hey, I like Dao Dao, they're nice people, right? So maybe I say here, I'm gonna go here and just go to Dao Dao and put all my weight on Dao Dao. So I can just go in this stuff, hopefully makes sense. Dao Dao, submit vote. And now I'm putting my vote that I think, we all should put money on the Dao Dao validators. And so all the WYND Juno we staked based on these numbers of where they go. So I think this is very interesting. Rather than having some core team making deals about which one they stake and which they don't stake, having some big proposal to complain about yes or no or not, everyone can vote right away. Gauges are really cool. Everyone has a voice. Everyone can vote what they want to. They throw it in and they throw their money in, and it makes maybe 0.01%, 0.001. But if you have 100 people, that will be at least 0.2%, 0.3%, 0.5%, as you will get more people into it, and everyone has a little voice. Everyone moves a grain of sand a little bit, right? So you don't say, hey, it's winner takes all, right? All this people, this person. No. Hey, everyone has a voice, and we take them all into account, and we get it split based on whoever's more popular, top 20, or whoever else is top 50. The votes on it, and we split the WYND Juno there. So the WYND Juno is really not some backroom deal, not some what we like to do. It's really what the WYND community chooses constantly, and every month will be updated based on which validators they think are important, which validators are supporting WYND, which validators have bought a lot of WYND. I know that Posthuman, for example, has bought quite a bit of WYND and staked it in order to raise that. They want to get the people on there. They encourage the community to buy WYND and stake it, and they're working to make sure that their one is going high. So they're actually taking active steps to be, pretty up in this step, which I think is a very smart idea. And they promote more WYND Juno, then they get more delegations too. So that's a kind of interesting way of having this and the second order effects.
And the 9% off this whole system is going to the WYND Dao treasury, right? And that treasury actually goes and helps change the world in certain areas, helping the environment, make the world a better place. So like it's like a win-win-win. Now I know why you came up with the WYND name system. Like even just I got airdropped this for holding Juno, and now I get to be like, it's so amazing what you guys have built.
Cool, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up too. The when so what happens is all the revenue you get here is 9% of the commissions, not 9%, 9% of the rewards, right? So we don't take any money for principal. If you put your Geno, win Geno, we take the rewards, we auto compound, we take 9% off those rewards, which is made up by the auto compounding, actually gives you 9%, so it kind of balances out. We take those 9% and put it into our splitter we call it, and that sends 75% to the WYND Dao treasury. So the WYND Dao will get Juno, it'll get all the asset Osmo, USDC, everything that's traded, it'll get all the fees in there, all the WYND rewards, all that stuff is sent to the splitter. 75% goes to the WYND Dao treasury to do what it wants to, invest on it and do anything it wants, and 25% goes to the environmental DAO. The environmental DAO is designed to basically give out grants, give out support for people and support environmental projects, really cutting edge stuff. We have a discussion on the Commonwealth about it. It kind of froze for a little bit because there's too much ship. We're collecting money on it. It's collecting money right now. I think it has about 4,000 or 5,000 collected. We haven't got that many fees yet. So we want to grow a little bigger. So we have a few more thousand on there, a few tens of thousands. So we really can start donating this to a good cause. And the focus, in my mind, we have to see what people vote on it. We have to have a proposal actually vote on what the focus is. My mind is things like more digital, like especially like Oracle services, monitoring stuff, ways that have impact. So since we are a digital organization, we're probably not the best one to know whether or not people are planting trees, but someone building technology to effectively monitor tree planting, to monitor projects, to incentivize these projects, to provide tooling for these projects, I think it's a very, very useful thing that the WYND community could evaluate, understand if it's doing its job or not, and do it there. So I think it's really important to find things that we can actually ensure are delivering. And find early stage places we can make an impact. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having that. And it's not, no one has to do it. It's basically as people use WYND, as you make money with WYND, as you use the DEX, as you earn money using WYND Juno and LPing that and getting your rewards, this small cut is being sent over and going to make the world better. So I think it's definitely one of the motivation factors I had here.
And as you mentioned, like this is from the fees generated from this protocol, right? And right now we have the automated market maker, the AMA, we have the LSD liquid staking derivatives, but your plan is to make this like the one-stop shop. So like normally you'd have to go to a bunch of different sites to be able to participate in all these different things, right? And what's amazing about this is everything just right there, super easy, user friendly. But you guys plan on deploying a lot more protocols that are going to generate more and more fees for this whole thing, right? I heard lending and a bunch of other things you guys are working secretly, right?
Yeah, not so secret anymore. It's kind of being spilled. But yeah, LSD, we want to launch that a few more chains. Right now we have here, you see Juno, right? So we want to launch a few more chains, look at some other Cosmwasm chains we can launch it on that makes sense that could benefit from this, right? So we launch that, and these would also give their rewards to it. They'd also have LSD. They'd also want to make sure we don't just launch them there and forget them. And a lot of these things just sit there and do something. We want to make sure they have high liquidity, right? So if we launch an LSD, we want to make sure they have a stable swap pool with a high TVL in it, so people can actually enter and exit it very efficiently, right? So we're working a whole product mindset, not just like throw an LSD and just forget about it. It's good, what some other teams do. We say, hey, we're building this, make sure the TVL is good, make sure it's incentivized, but the pools are here supporting it. And then make sure other protocols use this as collateral, right? And make sure the whole thing is working as a collaborative whole. And that's the point of it. So we're going a little slow. We're not throwing 10 new protocols in here. We're doing one at a time as we can actually build a product around each one, right? So we're adding these on there. Lending is coming up soon. The issue with lending is more like figuring out which collateral we can use and actually liquidate at regional amounts. So that is coming up there. Also, which chains to integrate it with. Lending is really, really valuable when integrated with other DeFi protocols, really not so much by itself. Right? Some people, retail users can use it to short something, but it's not such one. It's really nice one to integrate with other things. And so we're looking at which chain might not be in Juno, actually. It might launch our main lending protocol. We'll in Juno some, but we might launch another chain. And if that's where people will be using it, but it'll still be governed by WYND Dao, and the revenue flies back to WYND Dao. So it brings benefit to the WYND holders, even if it's not there, right? So we're looking for that, figuring out where to put it, and to really figure out where we can synergize other protocols. Also looking at protocols, for example, like Quasar, which does vaults. Now, if they can use our strategies, if they have a strategy to say, hey, take my Juno, swap half into WYND Juno, stake it in the WYND Juno, LP it in the Juno pool and stake that, take the WYND rewards from that, auto compound them here, right, et cetera, et cetera. If you have this strategy built up, right? Like, and then you say, then we work with them. So we don't necessarily have to build everything ourselves. We don't want to build everything ourselves. Work with a lot of other people, right? So I'd love to have a Quasar vault that does all that stuff on ours, right? Just here's your strategy, just run the strategy. And they're the ones to make these market makers and strategies. They're doing that stuff. We don't need to build it. They can build that one, right? Working with Croncat to automate our stuff. We have YieldMos is doing some really cool stuff actually right now. What I'm talking about doing, they don't have vaults for it, but they're actually allowing you to personally automate it. So they YieldMos, you'll be able to do this like withdraw auto compound WYND to LP position stuff and reinvest that quite well. So they're working on that right now. Now they finally, with the latest Juno 13 upgrade, they can actually do that effectively. And they don't have to give anything to them. You give them permission to their contract to do just like all it can do is withdraw your WYND rewards and restake them. That's all it can do, right? So it just takes over your account and does it on your behalf. Works individually with the rest of your stuff, which is really cool. Working with TFM. So if you look at juno.tfm.com, that just came out recently. I believe this is the one. They are a multi-chain DEX aggregator, and they have now, you can for example, if you go to Juno USDC, I'm going to do 100 Juno USDC. It will show the routes, and it will actually route. Does it show the route there? The best route. So some of it says picks it. Some goes to Juno swap. Some goes from WYND to Juno to WYND, and then Juno to WYND to USDC on WYNDEX, right? Some goes to Osmo to WYND to USDC. Some goes over ZAR on WYNDEX. You see, WYNDEX is used the backend for lots of these routes, and it's really cool because they actually find all the routes you need. So if you're doing a small swap, just go to WYNDEX, right? But if you're doing some crazy big swap, you really want low slippage, and you want this, it will split your trade over 4 or 5 different routes to minimize slippage. Right? So that's not such a big deal with the 100, but if you're doing 10,000, right, trying to sell that to USDC, that's when you start really seeing these slippages, really mattering, that goes over these different things, even splits to USDC and WYNDEX and Juno swap, even uses Juno swap. There's some liquidity on there still. Most of it is WYNDEX. So I think it's a really, really one. So it's a very nice thing for like power users and especially large trades if you care about it. Usually I'm trading like, a few hundred, and I do a direct trade, do pools, and it works great on WYNDEX. You don't worry about it. Slippage is less than 1% or less, like it doesn't really matter. But when you start using like large numbers and you're hitting slippages of 5%, 3%, right? You're like, oh, this is pretty bad. Go there. They will help you optimize your routes and try to find your cheaper route to save you a little bit off your trades. So I think it's really cool they're using it. They also have something called limit orders. They're actually supporting on top of an AMM, which they haven't launched yet. They've launched in Terra. So we're working with them. Hopefully they'll be launching that in the next month or so. They will limit order using them on WYNDEX as an AMM. So if the WYNDEX price ever drops below this price, then you can, then you can buy it. Or it goes high, then you sell it, right? So you can set your limit orders on this. And these are second order protocols we're working with that allow us to really reach our impact far beyond what we do just by ourselves. So we're building a lot. We're working hard, working on governance, working on this AMM, working on staking derivatives, working on lending protocol, working on interchain connections, right? That's a whole set of things, but we can't do 100 things, right? We're doing like 5, which is a huge amount for any other project, I think. So we're looking for them. We're really working for partnerships here. I think it's great to get the synergies, and anyone else building other DeFi protocols. We don't want to be the only one. We want to build like a complete suite, and that suite is made by integrating other pieces, right? So maybe behind the scenes, you hit Bridge, it's using Axelar Squid Router. We don't have any Bridge to Ethereum. We can't do that, right? But we use them, and it comes in. We have this one interface that lets you come in there, and then maybe using other people's DeFi products behind the scenes. Their DeFi products might use ours behind the scenes. That's wonderful. But really want to make it easy to get in and just use the basic utilities, and then integrate with all the other power of Cosmos over IBC. And that's where we look to expand, especially this year, not just adding like lending, but using IBC and doing things. So maybe, hey, we can route over multiple chains. We can, LP, we can all these other things over multiple chains. And maybe you can, hey, I'm on, I don't know, Neutron chain, and I can from Neutron chain I can swap into on WYND Dao with paying fees in Neutron. So it's doable. These are all these cool things you can do in the future.
Yeah, I love the collaboration energy that's involved with the Cosmwasm. Like, do you think we'll ever see like Osmo on like liquid staking on WYND, or any big blue chip projects like that? Is that possible?
I love to have Osmo liquid staking. They have to want it. I'm not sure they want it
Definitely.
because they have to vote. I vote on governance.
So
It's our
let me
top
ask
one.
let me ask you this.
Honestly, it's our number one permission chain we want to go on. But I'm not sure if we can go through governance. So if they want us, if we can
They have
oppose
to
and they'll
vote,
accept
yeah.
it, we do it. And they've voted in.
Let me ask you this. You're the father of Cosmwasm. You developed this. This is your thing, right? So you've been researching, developing this for years. How important of a role, or like, what's the role in Juno Network? It's on the white paper, it says the neutral home of Cosmwasm. It seems like this is like an essential testing ground to experiment with this stuff live. Would you say that Juno is really important for the research and development of Cosmwasm?
It has been, and I hope it remains to be so. So this is now a bit of a threat. Before it was Terra was the you had basically Terra, Secret, and Juno were the three big chains that you looked at. Terra had its own community, so Terra's its own world is a little incompatible with everyone else. But
Mm-hmm.
they had a huge community, but it was a little separate from the Cosmos, right? The Terra sometimes they're getting a little closer now. Secret was also they were close to the Cosmos, but they actually had a different contract format because they had run everything in encrypted messages, so it was actually a little different to build. It's very, very powerful. If you want privacy, if you want encrypted stuff, it's a great opportunity. You make a few changes to Cosmos contracts, not serious ones, like you don't have to relearn it, but there's a few little API changes there. You have a few limitations about iteration over maps, but basically you can run most stuff. You have to some advanced features you have to remove because you can't use them, so you have to reinvent those advanced features in another way, re-implement them. But it's pretty cool. I think a pretty cool thing. And Gino was like, oh, we're just here, you know, we're not UST, and we are not it was vanilla Cosmos more or less, and we want to build a community around it. So they did that one, and they built DAO DAO, for example, is a really great example of what they brought in there, right? They brought some other things like Juno Swap out there, which eventually cool idea, but they didn't maintain it. So a lot of these projects came up there, they launched really cool ideas. Some of them were used, they a really experimental place, but only I think a handful of them actually were heavily maintained, actually get beyond like, hey, we use it, try it out, and actually maintain it for 6 months for a year, right? And we've been pumping this. We launched our DAO 6 months ago in WYND, right? And we pumped the DAO first, and then we did, 3 months later we did the AMM, and then or 3.5 months, then 2 months later we're doing this LSD. So we're keep going, we're going and going, and a lot of them just slow down. They do something, they sit. So I think it depends what goes on here, right? It really depends what goes on here. And I think Data is a really, really great example of how it can be. There are a few other projects coming up here. I know Vectis is launching some really cool stuff. Croncat's launching on Juno. It's a really easy place to experiment and launch your stuff without going through permissioning. Someone wants to see it live on a real permissionless chain before it gets on a permissioned chain. There are a few other projects going on there. Abstract OS is playing on this one. They're really doing interesting stuff in WYND. Not so many more big DeFi projects. I'm probably missing a few more out there. NFT projects. So I feel it has brought a lot of people to innovate and bring it there. I think it's a bit of a question what the future is, right? So a lot of the people came in that were grant funding, is very, very nice grant funding, probably too nice to people that were not shipping. But now they've cut it to a point that almost everyone, even if they're shipping stuff, won't get any grant funding, any support. People like Strangelove, I know, which really deserve a lot of support for doing a lot of great work on this, are struggling to even get support. So for infrastructure. So I think it's a big question for me what Juno wants to do. And I think it needs to have a very clear vision because it's neutral home. It has incubated a lot. And without Juno, I think IBC and Cosmos wouldn't be the same. These visions, DAO's brought a whole lot of really great technology and DAO tooling out there. Pretty awesome stuff. And yeah, I mean, Juno needs to figure out how they work out, how they get collaboration with different apps on there, so that the money flows both ways, so that they support the apps and apps support Juno as well, and don't just run off their own chain. Hey, screw you, we're launching LL1. So I think it really depends on that. I mean, right soon they'll have a few more competition. Neutron's launching soon, and Archway sometime. They're both permissionless, general purpose things in the same niche as Juno. They don't have much community, either one yet. But I think it's really important for Juno to build that community, keep the community, and really, push forward. So, we're full support of Juno. We love Juno. It's our home. We chose it, and so I really hope that they build a community and keep the community going, because I think that's really the special sauce of Juno, the community.
Yeah, it's awesome to see all these innovating projects come out, especially there's a social media application that just came out, which I was completely mind blown, like the possibilities of Cosmwasm. So that was like, what else have we not seen? Like we've seen what happened on Terra, like that was they made algorithmic stable coins and much more cool stuff. And then Juno, we see these amazing DeFi protocols. We also see, social media applications. Like what's really possible that hasn't been created yet that, Are you willing to share some like possibilities of what could be done with Cosmwasm that hasn't been done yet?
I mean, I think it's really interchain. So governance, data is pushing governance, and I think they're doing. I see them in 1 year done more than I think Aragon did with their I don't know how many millions of funding over 6 years, right? So they really push boundaries, and I think they've done a lot of stuff. They're shipping quite well, and it's like this huge idea of like your toolkit to build DAOs really quickly, so you can build really custom DAOs. And we've also pushed that, used some of their tooling and contributed back. All the staking stuff, all those gauges, variable rate staking, all that stuff is our custom additions, but we're based on DAO as well. We took that, we added our own contracts. They're taking our contracts and using them other places too, which is it's good. It's good. We're sharing. That governance is cool. I think it's a big thing right now, and I think in the next year we'll see interchain come out there. So people are working on bridges. It's big, and now the bridges are usually multi-sigs. They get hacked. They have something there. IBC gives you a really high trust level, right? But the problem is IBC right now is token transfer, and the rate of innovation in the last 2 years has been very slow. So on the app level, on top of IBC, it's been one team, and they haven't really shipped. They've shipped interchain accounts, but they missed some things product wise. It missed callbacks, missed some details, and they haven't really found. They're building theory. They built great theory, but they're not really working the app layer, right? They build these apps that kind of work in a theoretical sense. They're correct, but they're not actually meeting the products where they fit. They don't fit in the DeFi products. They don't fit where people need them, right? So I say it works great for a DAO, maybe controlling tokens, but doesn't work great for like someone trying to swap directly into a swap tokens over osmosis. So osmosis pushed that boundary and built like this ICS20 extension they built, so you can actually do a one swap semi token over, swap them osmosis, and get my tokens back, right? They built this extensions. So I think they're using Cosmwasm too. So I think more and more we'll see people saying, hey, we really want new things to happen. What can we do? And we'll do those. So I've seen a lot of stuff, interchain queries being built that hasn't shipped really yet on native Go, and people have built interchain queries, they built interchain accounts, interesting token transfer, combination of token transfer with this. And I think the combination, we're building mesh security. I think it's really going to blow people's mind. Mesh security allows you to effectively like stake on one chain and cross stake on other chains. So you can stake your Juno and use that same Juno to cross stake on Stargaze, on Osmosis, and on Neutron, for example, right? I actually don't take them, and whatever, Chihuahua chain, right? They can absorb security, and these smaller chains get the economic security of the delegations from the big chain, and you are able to expose your same stake you had for 1, 2, 3 different chains, so you're able to get rewards from different chains. You get slashed the validator, you vote on double signs, you're punished on it, right? But you have to pick good validators, and this makes it much more harder for someone to buy a corrupt validator, a malicious validator in, because you are saying more and more money is coming in from foreign chains that have a big market cap, and Chihuahua has a very low market cap. So people putting their Juno, their Osmo, their stars on the line to say, hey, we believe these are good validators, right? So someone can't just buy a bunch of Chihuahua and fork the chain by going to bad validators. So you put economic security in their chain, and in exchange you get rewards, which means they flow there. So it brings that, then the people that were already like Osmo stakers are now getting Juno rewards and star rewards, and this, they might stake those natively. Now they have access without spending money, just by contributing security. They get access to rewards other chain tokens, so they might actually open up those chains too. So it provides security to chains to basically rent security from more higher market cap chains to get their things secure, and those higher market chains get then their tokens. So kind of like it's a way of doing a airdrop almost, right? Like people buy in slow airdrop. The longer you secure my chain to keep it safe, the more tokens you get, but you don't have to spend any money. You just have to take the risk that you're voting on the right validator, and you have to pick a good validator for us. So I think this is really going to be mind-blowing. It combines the best of IBC and the best of Cosmwasm. It's built on contracts. We did this as an idea that Sunny presented in Medellin in September. You should check out his talk from Cosmoverse, Mesh Security. He's wearing a full mesh armor. And then me and Jake from DAO knocked it out with an architect design with Sunny. The two of us basically spent 54 hours, very little sleep, and hacked a prototype that worked. You staked one chain, it sent IBC messages, got over here, it staked another chain, and got the rewards back. So yeah, it was a little flaky, but it worked. The main case worked, the high path worked, and we showed that. And now we are starting, last week, a group of us now has funding to work on that. A lot of teams, a lot of independent developers, some from Juno, some from the DAO developers, Confio developers working on it, some Osmosis team working on it, and we're coming together. A few different teams are funding this one to build this mesh security initiative. So hopefully by the end of the year, you'll see this on mainnet, big mainnets. And it's like another level beyond replicated security. The hub can borrow security, 100% security to smaller chains, which is great. That's one use case. And this envisions a whole realm of use cases beyond that, right? If you want subsidiary companies, basically subsidiary chains is great. They work perfect for that use case. And mesh security is every other use case. We have two chains side by side. There's brothers and sisters who want to do this. We have one small chain that wants to borrow from lots of big chains. We have one chain that like spawns off, like a DAO spawns off of Juno, wants its own thing. Hey, they can launch a new chain and give 80% of the voting power to Juno holders, staking power. So they change secure at Juno. They have their own token too. The own token is kind of weak, and they come in. Juno holders have 80%, so they kind of inherit most of Juno's security. They also have their own token. They can run their own speed. They can upgrade their binary as fast as they want to. They have different validator set, but they inherit a lot of security. And then also say, hey, we're not just running away. We're giving you a lot of rewards back to you guys. So then the people that do a bid to do that, don't airdrop back. They say, okay, you cross stake on ours and you get rewards. And then all the people that are helping secure our chain to launch will get a whole bunch of our tokens. And those active members of the community that cross stake will get our tokens, right? And now they'll be the token holders in this new chain. So it's an interesting way of airdropping, I think, in the future. And then it keeps those two chains very tied because, hey, actually a lot of the people active in this chain also have tokens on the other chain and they're securing each other. And so there's like interesting like economic and security mix. So I think it's, we have to see it play out, but it's kind of mind-blowing if you really dig into it, that we're taking like IBC and POS innovations, which both came from Cosmos, and let's just multiply them together. Ethereum figured out POS, everyone's figuring out POS now, right? IBC they're trying to get to. I was at ETH Denver and realized bridges, multi-chain, and IBC is the end game. Everyone's trying to figure out how to get to IBC, right? It takes them some years now, but they realize IBC is the end game, and everything they're building now is temporary hacks to get to IBC because we have multi-states in the end, right? And they want IBC. And they're trying to get there. They're working on it, right? And now we say, hey, while you're trying to catch up with us here, we'll mix them together, make IBC POS, IBC native POS, cross-stake POS, and be like mind-blowing levels of like, you're like, wait, what's going on here? We are like, which chain? We have 5 different chains kind of like cross-staking each other. Where's security boundaries? What's going on here? Like, where's one chain start the other end? I'm staking my tokens, get fee tokens for everyone. I can pay fees everywhere. And my apps might just be one app that like WYND is doing from day one. We'll show multi-chains. We have one interface here, and that will have different chains in the back end, right? So we can have LSD and 5 different chains on different tokens. And I think these become the norm, that you have like apps that are just truly multi-chain running over multiple chains that are securing each other.
And you hear so many people talk about, multi-chain, multi-chain, multi-chain. But the reason I went so deep into Cosmos, because you guys were the OGs. You guys were talking about this before it was cool and trendy. Everyone's talking about it now. And, proof of stake too. Ethereum is proof of stake. But you guys are the OGs of this whole thing. And after listening to what you just said, it's like anybody that's still married to the idea of chain maximalism, like they're going to get smoked. They're going to get left behind. So like the future, what you're describing is like this multiverse universe where everything is basically the new internet, and all these Cosmwasm chains could potentially, I think that people that do the win-win approach like you, like how can we collaborate, are going to win. And that's what is going to be really exciting. And I think that Cosmwasm, let me know what you think, is going to spread like a virus in the next few years because of like everything that you've been mentioning with this interoperability. I mean, people are going to try to, so let's talk about this real quick. So with EVM, there's been billions and billions of dollars hacked because of reentrancy attacks and because of the DAO multi-sig, right? You mentioned that. Do you see, I know with T-Grade, you're working with a lot of, 5 minutes, with T-Grade, you're working with a lot of like enterprises, businesses. Is that one of the reasons why they wanted to adopt Cosmwasm? Because like there's been so many hacks with the EVM and you guys have built from the ground up preventing those issues. I see a lot. My prediction is that like when the enterprises come into the game and a lot of the regulated entities come into the game, they're going to choose WASM because of the WebAssembly. What do you think?
I think it is one of the big things is if you're trying to build on Authority, you're like telling your devs to learn some new language. It makes nothing sense to them. And it's kind of like an underspecified JavaScript again, right? Like it's a very simple language. You can write a few lines, but you don't really understand it. It has all these magic things. It's kind of like going back to JavaScript before, like in 2015, JavaScript, where you could write a few lines of this stuff, but maybe there's a bug in it somewhere, right? It might explode. So I feel like that. It's really, really easy to write. It's really hard to write really secure code. And when you WebAssembly, right, we're working from Rust right now, but you can also get C++. They're bindings to that, or you can Go. And so if you get these enterprises, they have a bunch of Java developers, they have C++ developers, right? They maybe have some Rust developers now. But C++, okay, I pick up Rust, I learn the language, I can really real language, real tooling, same idea I had before. I can go off this thing and they can get in and write the contract. Okay, this is not like learning a whole other paradigm with no tooling again. It's like, okay, I can do it. Same tooling works from ground up. We work compatibility with everything, and especially tooling and testing stuff. So I think it's really much more like enterprise backend developers will be able to jump into it much faster than they would be other languages. You invent your own language. So I think that's the benefit of using WASM and Rust.
Yeah, that's definitely how I see things playing out. But Ethan, I know you got to go right now. Do you have any last words you'd like to share with a new aspiring cosmonaut that's researching, getting involved? What message would you leave with them?
Yeah, I think what you were saying earlier, avoid chain maximalism. There are a bunch of chains out there. Pick some chains, find the chains, see what makes sense to you. And I think there are a bunch of use cases. Some chains won't make it, some will make it. A lot of them will make it. It's not one. So try them out. If you're interested in one thing, if you're interested in NFTs, go to Stargaze. If you're interested in DeFi, head to other chains. If you're interested in social media, maybe go to Juno's thing, or maybe go Desmos, which is focused on that, right? If you want to compete, go to Akash. So learn them out, figure out what you're interested in. And there's a niche one, regen, if you're interested in buying carbon credits. So there's sustainable niches for everything. Research them all. Don't be a maximalist. Go through, check them all out, get an idea what they are, and say, hey, maybe they're actually good change, but they're not my use case. So what I care about, these 3 or 4 things matter, and I can start building my little apps on top of them. You also can. There's a huge space to innovate, whether it's Cosmos and contracts, or if you're a front end developer, just building apps, learning how to use Cosmos.js. There's amazing tooling now these days. And writing multi-chain apps. Make an app that says, hey, I'll take this from this chain, move over to this chain, and do that over here, right? Just a front end thing. Make some life easier. Try it out yourself. Try it out and try to explore the multi-chain world. You don't have to write hard code. It's super cheap to send packets, super cheap to move stuff across chains these days. So I think, building little front end apps that connect to 3 different chains, move stuff over chains, that's super easy these days. And yeah, try it out. Try it out. Find what makes sense and then connect it. So, you can then swap your tokens to Cash use a WYND Dao, and then you swap over to Cash to pay your credits, and then have something that will just hit one button that will whatever. You'll take your netted tokens, sell them on WYND Dao, move it over to Cash, and then pay your server bills for your hosting. Right? Try building these little workflows. Try them out, and realize how easy it is to build these multi-chain workflows, because those are the future. And it's not just the backend devs building bridges, which you'll see now. It's really the people who can make it usable. Osmosis killed everyone because they can make cross-chain dexes usable, right? So if you can figure out your idea, make it a cross-chain XYZ usable, there's a huge space to play around here, and really cheap gas fees to play with.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You're welcome to come back and talk about WYND or Cosmos anytime you want. And make sure you guys leave some comments and support WYND Dao. Everybody, peace.
Thank you for having me here. Great talking to you guys.